Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh.
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, the turd in the punch bowl of true crime podcasts. This is Trevin.
I'm Amanda. Okay, I love that intro. That one might be one of my favorites of all time.
I felt like that was a good one. We could start using that in taglines or something.
Oh my God. Oh, do I love it. So, you little turd in a punch bowl, what is your dreadful dilemma this week?
All right, guys. I've talked about it before. I'm finally going to do it. It's time for the mental health update.
Okay, yes, you have been saying you were going to give us one.
Yes.
And now is the time?
Now's the time. We're going to get a little serious. Last time we talked about this, I decided to see the eating disorder therapist. So I just wanted to kind of tell my story a little bit with you guys.
Yes, please do. That's so cool. First of all, before you even go in, very, very cool of you and very vulnerable of you. But yes, I'm glad that you feel safe enough to.
Thanks. Yeah, I've just learned that I think I'm living life incorrectly. And I think we all might be in some way or another. And it's just nice to say you're not alone in wanting to change that. So what was it? Around my birthday, the end of February, March, I started taking on more jobs of other shows and trying to juggle this show on top of, I think at one point I was doing like 6 other shows.
I don't know how you did it.
I don't honestly know how I did either. I've scaled back so much since then. But when I was at the peak of my busyness, something had happened. Emily and I had had this discussion, and she had said that the way that I was wearing a certain article of clothing was not doing me any favors. And she didn't say it in a mean way. Actually, she was very obsessed with the show Queer Eye for a while.
Right. Oh, love that.
And her obsession with Queer Eye made her think that she was some kind of fashionista person for a minute. So she says, I get to see these guys helping guys all the time, so let me try to do it too. Now, but what I didn't realize and what she didn't realize was that by telling me this one magical phrase, what she didn't know was I thought I was kind of covering a part of myself that I didn't like. She was saying I was accentuating it, and that was enough to rock my world completely to the core.
I remember you told me she broke my brain.
Yes, I keep calling it the brain break. It really did shift everything.
Yeah.
Around this time, I also had my first panic attack in a very, very long time, probably about 7 years, and that also kind of rattled me a little loose. And once she pointed that out to me, I realized that a lot of the things I do, I don't actually have OCD. I thought I did. I figured that out with my therapist. I don't.
Really? Okay.
I am so trying to avoid certain feelings and certain thoughts that it's easier for me to try to keep control of everything going on so that I don't accidentally stumble into a conversation that might hurt me in that way.
My mind is blown over the OCD thing, though. Side note. I guess I just thought that the inner workings of your mind getting something like stuck on the loop. But I guess maybe that could be something else.
It's like my brain is trying to take on so many processes at once. If you have a conversation about one thing, it might lead to something that might hurt your feelings a little bit. So that I try to always just know what to say and what to do to try to always avoid those certain things. I'm a very avoidance-driven person, or I have been. So when Emily brought that up and it broke my brain, I had a little bit of a breakdown in that moment, and I was laughing maniacally like a psycho. I was also tearing up pretty bad, and I didn't really know what to do. And she had even asked me at one point, she said, "Are you happy or are you sad? Like, I don't really know what you are." And I remember it was like the bravest thing I could do in the moment. I took like a deep breath and said, "Sad." And I just started laughing again because I just did not know what to do. So when she did that, it kind of awoken something in me where I realized how many different things I'm doing to try to fix something. I'm taking like a bunch of supplements. I'm doing little silly rituals. I couldn't miss taking apple cider vinegar because I felt like it was going to help me. And I was just gaining weight. And it was just because I was stressing myself out a ton, trying to fix this. The only thing I could tell myself in this loop was I need to just do it harder because I'm not doing it good enough. I had been seeing some signs, like I wear a Whoop strap and it tells me like you got a lot of stress going on. I look up a lot of things and they say like, oh, well, the reason why this kind of stuff happens is because of stress. Well, the funny thing is I have been like, I'm not a stressed person. I'm not stressed at all. But then I realized, no, I'm stressing myself to do all this stuff to keep the stress at bay. And the fact that I'm keeping my mind so busy avoiding those things is stressing me out. And I'm never fully getting away from the stress anyway. You know, I'm still feeling that stress because I'm obviously always thinking about it if I'm always trying to avoid it. So I find out, which this should have been so obvious to me, but I have a terrible body image issue. And that's what leads to eating disorder type behavior. And when things don't quite go right, that seems to be the first place I go. And I'm a person who, this is my metaphor for the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm a big Ninja Turtles fan.
Ooh, yeah.
And there's a guy named Krang who is a brain that lives inside of the belly of a robot. And the robot can get really big. And Krang has a stupid voice. And he's like, catch those turtles. He talks just like that. But Krang is a little brain who has these little brainy finger arms. And he moves this robot around. And whenever he wants to fight the turtles, obviously he's a brain. So he has to make the robot do it. Well, the robot doesn't always do what he wants because the robot's kind of a big dumb robot. And so he's sitting here being this like super smart brain and he's just mad at the body for not being able to do stuff. And that's how I live my life most of the time. When I'm having a conversation with another person, in my head, you and I are connecting on an intellectual level. Like to me, I read people really well just because I'm trying to protect myself and seeing what direction they may go in the conversation. But I pretend that I'm not even here. I'm a word bubble just floating around. Like to me, I'm just a head that's controlling a body that it's like, I don't like this fucker. I'm just trying to survive.
Has it gotten any better?
So I've been going through therapy and we've been doing different things about being more present. And I almost now have adopted sort of almost like a pregnant way of thinking. Because now I say I'm eating for two. I'm doing this for two. I'm thinking about me and my body too. And I know that's because that's something I never think about. I did so many workouts where I hurt myself because I was pushing it too hard. I was getting to the point where I was doing certain workouts where I felt like my heart was going to leap out of my chest because I had pushed myself so far. And I would just be like, oh, that's weakness. Keep going. So now I've more in tune and been using mindfulness. And I don't want to sound hippy-dippy or anything, but...
Hey, you know me.
I know you.
Hippy-dippy all the way home.
But I got to stay on the other side of that.
Yeah.
But I have been doing more things like body scans and checking in with myself. And my Whoop strap actually does keep track of your stress. And over the last couple of weeks, it is a full-time job for me to actually be present. And it makes me very anxious when I can't stay present with myself, or I can just feel myself looking in the future too much. I can actually see on my heart rate monitor on here, my stress levels are actually down.
Wow.
No matter how much I would tell myself back in the day, like, why is the stress level so high? It's so stupid. Like, 'cause if you ask me, like, what are you stressing about? I'd be like, nothing. But it's just because it's how I've always known how to live. Now I'm sitting here attacking the root cause of things and trying to limit that and actually being focused and present with myself. And it's pretty cool. I will say that when I was going through it, I felt like I was living without armor for quite a while because I've lived this way for over 10 years.
Right.
I thought I was doing the right thing. And I did. I got a lot more confident with myself. I was only going to take myself so far with the way I was doing it.
Yeah.
And now, although I am taking a bit of a step back, I feel that I can now take a much larger step forward, being more in tune with myself. And I wanted to share this with people because, one, it's really interesting to me because I'm a person who I always feel like I'm the most self-aware person in the world. And then when I figured that out, I'm like, oh my God, how did I miss all of this? And I knew it to a certain point. But when Emily had broke my brain, I couldn't go back to the old coping mechanisms of keeping track of everything and having all these lists because I was so busy with all these other shows that I couldn't keep up with all the rituals. And so it was stressing me out to try to keep up with the way my brain used to work.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to just blow the whole thing up and restart. So it's been very difficult for me. And honestly, I'm surprised we only took 1 week off during the whole thing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I've completely turned over a new leaf with all that. And I'm trying to live a much more different and fulfilling life. I've considered writing a book about it.
Ooh, I would read that shit.
I was actually thinking about doing a mental health book about the brain break, and I was going to do it in the scope of a true crime book.
Ooh,
And so it was going to start with a ground zero sort of a thing. Like, this is the day it hit, the brain break. Here's what happened. And then I wanted to look at it in sort of a detective way. And then each chapter was going to be what I thought caused the brain break.
Ooh.
So one would be like a deep dive on body image issues. One would be a deep dive on this. And then by the end,
like your murder suspects.
Like, who's the culprits? Yeah. So I was going to do that, which, obviously
I like that.
The ending of the story would be that it's all a little bit of everything. But it's still just really good to kind of do those deep dives and look back on that for your own health.
Ugh, that is so beautiful. I think it's really cool that you not only are just feeling better, but you actually have data backing it up. So that's kind of wild, but pretty cool. I don't know. I'm just really proud of you as a friend. And I think that facing things is really freaking scary and really hard. So anyone who's able to do that, whew, just round of applause. For some reason, I feel like you and I are both kind of in this weird discovery phase, and maybe one day I'll get into mine. But yeah, realizing that things are not always as they have seemed and trying to improve yourself is never a bad thing. It's never a bad idea to look at something from a different angle and try and make it better.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And the funny thing, you talk about the data, the only reason why I have this Whoop strap is because I was so not in tune with my body for ever since I've been with Emily, it's like 5 years, that I got this Whoop strap because it keeps track of your heart rate. And then after a good night's sleep or bad night, whatever, it will tell you what your recovery score is. And it's like, this is what your heart should probably be taking as far as like activity.
Okay.
So I was so out of tune with myself that I needed numbers and data to tell me if I could work out that day, because I knew I personally didn't know what my body wanted.
Ooh.
And I had made that decision many a year ago to try to help myself. And now I'm like, oh shit, that was actually should have been more of a red flag back then than it was.
Yeah.
It's fun to see that I've actually changed the data. But the only reason why I have the data in the first place is because I just needed to have help because I couldn't trust anything my body told me.
But a lot of people are like that. Do you know how many times when I was still working at an office, people, their watches would go off, oh, time to actually get up and walk, because we all need reminders to take care of ourselves. It's crazy.
And I blame the rise and grind way of American lifestyle.
Yep.
Because we are all stressed. For other things.
Oh, yeah. To a different degree. And
hustle
for different
culture
reasons.
has got us all by the balls.
Does it ever? Well, Trevin, I also have a dreadful dilemma, but like usual, when you kind of do a more serious tone, I'll be more lighthearted this week.
That's fair.
And next time you got me, okay?
That's right.
But I recently took the family to Pizza Ranch. Have you ever eaten there, Trevin?
Not for a long time. Probably been a couple years. And the last time I went, not the best.
Really? Okay. Well, we have one not far from our house. And honestly, I never really consider going there. But one day Jordan was like, hey, let's take the kids to the buffet. There'll be things there for Winnie, Lila, you, me. You know, we all kind of need different dietary things at different times. And I was like, hey, that actually would probably work out. He gets his military discount. It's right there. I was like, let's do it.
Their chicken is good.
Dude. So I eat chicken now. Ugh, I know, guys. I think I've already admitted it on the podcast
I think
before.
You did recently.
But man, their fried chicken was on another level. For those who don't have a pizza ranch, there's a pizza buffet. There's the salad bar, and then there's a hot bar where it's fried chicken, veggies.
Mashed potatoes, I think.
Yeah, mashed potatoes, stuffing, kind of like the comfort foods. Of course, you can get your drinks, and then afterwards, and this is what my whole dreadful dilemma is about this week, there's a dessert bar, okay? There is a soft serve ice cream machine, and then there is a dessert pizza situation, which I'm sure a lot of other pizza places do this, right?
Yeah,
where
there was one next to my old hometown that always had them, and it was like a apple dessert pizza with the little crumblies.
It's these like sweet crusted pies that have fruit and then frosting drizzled on top with little crumbly baked goodness on top, okay? They're so damn good, if I'm not convincing you already. Being my girl's mother that knows them very well, I thought they were going to freak the fuck out over this dessert pizza because they like fruit, they like dessert,
and they love pizza.
So I gave them a little bit. They had a blackberry one, they had an apricot one, they had all these different kinds. And both of my kids did not like the dessert pizza. I was shook.
Wow.
They like the ice cream, but they could have done without the dessert pizza. So I'm going to have to put out another poll. I'm going to have to ask people.
Dessert pizza, yay or nay? Cobbler.
Cobbler!
Peach cobbler, cherry cobbler. They're like cobblers on a pizza.
Yes.
That's the word I was looking for. Because it's got that cakey little crumbles on the top.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So good. God.
But your kids didn't like the cobbler flavors.
They weren't into it. They just wanted the ice cream. I just couldn't even believe.
I mean, I would rather have ice cream too, but
like,
they're
why
still
not both?
good.
But like, why not both, you know?
Yeah.
It really was dreadful, but more for me, I guess.
Yeah.
So we are going to be doing a round of trivia this week.
We are...
Whoa. Trevin, we do not have the rights to say that.
Let's have a fun time.
So this week for trivia, I would like to talk about a little fishy.
Okay.
The sheepshead-fish. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Well, my question is simple. The sheepshead-fish is best known for what attribute? Is it A, a strange tuft of fur between the eyes? B, human teeth? Or C, a nubbed tail similar to a sheep?
And this is all a fish.
This is a fish.
I'm going to go with A, the tuft of hair.
And you are incorrect.
Damn it!
It is, in fact, human teeth. I'm going to show you a picture real quick.
Oh my God! No.
So they say that the sheepshead fish has these teeth to help it grind down on little critters that have shells and stuff.
Okay.
Like mollusks and stuff. I don't have a lot of information on it. I just wanted to blow you away with that.
Yeah, I am thoroughly blown away.
Because I actually wanted to bring up something else on top of my trivia.
Okay.
It's not something we ever really do, but I have update on one of our old cases, and I wanted to bring it up.
No way!
If any of you remember our story about the old Rent-A-Hit man,
Yes.
my dude's been working overtime.
Oh my God.
Now, I will say some of these are more of true crimey sort of things. This is not something that I could do a sequel for in a story. Well, actually, there's one I probably could have, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
I just want to bring this up. So first, because I've got two articles. In April 17th of this year, a hitman applied to work for Rent-A-Hit Man.
No way.
An Air National Guardsman was arrested after meeting an undercover FBI agent. Now that I'm thinking about it, we probably could have done a sequel with that one.
Yes. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, that is nuts.
It does have to do with killing a little bit, and I think that's one reason why I didn't want to.
It's a fine line.
It's a fine line. Coming from newser.com here is a Tennessee man named Josiah Ernesto Garcia, and he was arrested last week after he allegedly offered his services to rentahitman.com, unaware that it was a parody site. The owner contacted the law enforcement, much like in my story before. They got an FBI guy to meet him. Authorities say Garcia submitted his details to the site, saying he was an expert marksman who had been employed in the Air National Guard since July of 2021. He allegedly told the website administrator his nickname was Reaper, and he wanted to get to work as soon as possible. According to the press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office, an FBI undercover agent then began communicating with Garcia, who subsequently agreed to kill an individual for $5,000. Garcia was arrested after he met the undercover agent in a park last Wednesday. He was provided with a target packet of a fictional individual, which included photographs and other information, and accepted a down payment of $2,500. FBI agent recovered an AR-style rifle after searching Garcia's home. Court papers state that in a meeting in a Nashville restaurant almost a week before the arrest, the undercover agent told Garcia he could walk away anytime and warned that shooting people, quote, messes with your mind. In an affidavit states that the agent told Garcia, "You're locked in. This is what you want, because it sounds like you have a lot going on. You're in the military. You've got college." According to the affidavit, when Garcia was asked if he would be able to kill as many as 50 people, he boasted, "That's rookie numbers for the Reaper." Garcia, who told investigators he needed money to support his family, has been charged with use of interstate facilities and the commission of murder for hire and faces up to 10 years in prison if convicted.
Wow.
I have another update.
Oh my God. So this website is just continuously...
And that's what I said in the story was
it.
This isn't the first one he had gotten, but he's gotten 2 this year. This one's a lot more sad. So trigger warning if you don't want to hear this.
Okay.
Miami mom arrested for using parody site to try to hire a hitman to kill her 3-year-old son.
What?
18-year-old mother Jasmine Paez allegedly asked for her son to be taken away far, far, far away and possibly killed, but ASAP. That's the actual quote. Florida woman accused of attempting to hire a hitman online to kill her 3-year-old son has been released from jail on a bond by her father.
Oh my God.
She is facing charges of first-degree solicitation of murder and third-degree using a communications device for an unlawful use. Police said that Paez provided a photo of her son and an address along with her request and asked that the job be completed by the end of the week in her submission to rentahitman.com.
Oh my God.
Site's owner contacted local authorities when the request came through. Investigators then traced the IP address, quickly matched it, and police found the child at home with his grandmother safe and sound. The mother then confirmed the child's identity from the request. In the form, Paez allegedly wrote she wanted, quote, to get something done once and for all by having her son killed.
That is so horrible. My God. You know what? If someone hasn't done like a deep dive podcast about this website,
yeah,
what are people waiting for? There's a lot to work with.
I'll be a producer on it, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do all the research and interview people, but I'd listen.
Yeah, she negotiated a $3,000 fee for the murder assignment. Shortly after they secured the contract, police returned to Paez's home and arrested her. Paez was jailed and granted a $15,000 bond by a judge, which her father then paid, leading to her release. The father was quoted in saying, "My daughter is not a monster. My daughter is a little girl who was born with health problems. She has liquid retained in her neck. She's had 12 surgeries. She lost the ability to move her face. She's been bullied in school. They called her the monster." That's sad. Her father remained confident that there is more to this case than meets the eye, and he believes that the justice system will show the truth in the situation. Meanwhile, the toddler is safe. Department of Children and Families was notified of the incident. It doesn't look like they've named what's going to happen with her. But 2 people just this year.
That is nuts. And also, both are not the typical hitman story of like a scorned lover, you know?
Actually, I just found another update. Teen arrested for trying to book a hitman online to kill a 7-year-old on a parody site. That was June of this year. That's 3 this year. I'm not going to read into that one.
That is so weird. None of these are the traditional hitman story that you hear.
Yeah, they're super out there. I mean, I guess you would have to be a not so smart person or have it really together to trust rentahitman.com.
Right.
But yeah, I saw those updates and I wanted to bring that up last week, but last week's episode was running pretty late. So I thought trivia is going to be an easy one for me to just bring out the fish teeth. We can use the picture. But I'm just telling you, this guy is doing the world a service by even keeping the website live at this point.
Didn't you say, though, that he kind of gave over access to the FBI for that site or no? I can't remember what you had said. I thought it was something like that. Like they use it as a tool.
It was like a training thing for catching fake websites or something. But yeah, anytime he would get it, all of the information was handed over and he would let them run that part of the website with the communications back and forth with the people trying to do it.
That's crazy.
But he would always vet them to make sure it seemed legit and not a prank.
Yep, that's what it was. Damn. Thank you for those updates.
You're welcome.
All right, Trevin.
Yes.
I've got some trivia for you.
I feel smart today.
Okay. During the longest operation ever recorded, surgery lasted 96 hours in order to remove what? Was it A, 300-pound ovarian cyst, B, an extra limb, or was it C, a 12-inch metal rod?
You know, if I had to just guess, I was going to say a baby.
A baby, oh my God. 96 hours to get a baby out? That would be some shit.
96 hours. So you're looking at, what is it, like 4 days? Ooh. I'm going to base this off of something I saw in Saw 4, and I'm going to say a metal rod.
And you are incorrect.
Is it B? It's not A. A is the one I was like definitely no on.
It is A.
Shit, the bed.
I know. This one was so shocking. I had to tell everyone about this. So it's not the most pleasant story to talk about, but yes.
No, this week hasn't been pleasant, I don't think.
I know. Sorry, guys. I got some amazing information from Wired.com. And the longest surgery ever performed was done February 4th of 1951. So this was a decent amount of time back.
Oh, yeah.
And it was also done in Chicago, Illinois, here in the U.S. The patient was 58-year-old Gertrude Lewandowski. She had an undiagnosed ovarian cyst growing for a decade, okay? The cyst, as it was growing, caused her to balloon out to become over 600 pounds.
Well, yeah, if the cyst is 300?
So for a long time, I don't know if they just thought she was gaining an unusual amount of weight.
I feel like it would be distributed weird in her body, too.
Yeah, and it was kind of in her gut. So the ballooning thing, that's an actual word they used. Surgeons decided that in order to remove the cyst without affecting her heart, which was already at a really weak state because of how much she weighed and other health concerns, that they decided they needed to drain the cyst slowly before removing it. So that is why it was actually one of the longer surgeries, because that whole process was very slow and steady and let's keep her heart stable. And they had to be very, 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 very cautious.
Oh, yeah, probably monitoring her like crazy.
Uh-huh. So when Gertrude arrived at the hospital, she weighed about 620 pounds. After the operation, she left at 308 pounds. 4 months later, she underwent another operation that then removed 50 pounds of excess skin. That dropped her weight before 300 pounds for the first time in decades.
So she was already a heavier person when this had started.
It sounded like it was that kind of situation.
I feel like you'd have to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think she must have been too, because I think that obviously if someone's gaining that much weight, maybe it was disguised to start. I don't know. But how bizarre is that?
That is nuts.
And the location of it too.
For a decade.
Dude.
For that to have grown that big and to have lasted a decade, I wonder, like, did Gertrude keep going to doctors and they just say, oh, you're gaining weight? Or was she just not doing anything about it at all?
Yeah, it probably could have been a combo.
I mean, there are plenty of people out there that just ignore issues to a ridiculous point sometimes.
100%. People have fears of doctors. And then also, a lot of times, especially in the US, healthcare isn't always the greatest. And also, women, when they bring up concerns, sometimes they were overlooked, especially because this took place in the 50s.
Right.
Okay?
It also makes me wonder if this happened today, if it would take a lot less time because of just modern technology changing.
Maybe, but I found that to be really fascinating, a tad gross, but you know.
That's a long time. You'd have to have people work around the clock, and obviously she's bedridden the whole time. Ooh.
I know. It is wild. But you know what is a little bit happier?
Could it be advertisements?
It could.
My favorite part of the show. And welcome back to Love Corner. This is your host. Oh, that was my other show. My bad.
Oh my God. I almost was convinced. I was like, ooh, okay.
Where are we getting with this one? So it is actually story time, and it's my week to go first. And I think this one's a fun one. I think it's a good one for parents. I think I'm going to teach you all a thing or two about parenting. I've done this before, and I think I'm making better parents in the world, so you're all welcome.
I can't wait to learn.
So pop out your parental notebooks and start jotting notes, because I'm getting in it. And here we go. Since the dawn of time, parents have been manipulating their children into behaving by scaring them with fake stories of terrifying consequences. It's not helpful or healthy for the child, but this has proven to be a habit that humans still have not managed to break. Parents today may threaten their bad kids with stories of the boogeyman. 12th century Germans had Krampus to control their children. And I'm sure there were probably some ancient civilizations that told their youths the sun would swallow them if they misbehaved or something.
Oh my God, it's back again!
These figures made morality tales so much easier to digest for children. Sure, you could tell a great morality tale about karma coming back on someone, but a kid is always going to respond better to a figurehead of evil. If your kindergartner is loud in public, you don't tell them, "Honey, you're going to look back on this moment as an adult and feel a lot of embarrassment for yourself." No matter how true that may be, it's a lot easier to just tell them the man with no face will visit them in their sleep if they don't act right. Their constant night terrors may be annoying, but at least they'll learn to shut the hell up in Costco. No matter who your villain of choice is, whether it be La Llorona, Slender Man, the devil, or the bird that poops on your tongue if you stick it out, having a grotesque figure to imagine when feeling the need to sin can be the connection you need to get through to your kids. Again, I'm not advocating for this. It's terrible. But I will say this. As an adult, I still don't stick my tongue out at people. Even though I imagine the bird that poops on your tongue as an evil pigeon with a twirly mustache, I know he's not real, but I still don't stick my tongue out at people. So, the one thing that most of us adults can do is seek out therapy and eventually tell ourselves that these mystical creatures won't come and devour our souls. Because we all eventually learn that these spooky tales aren't true, and none of these bad guys are real. But what if they were? Today, I'm going to tell you a modern-day folk tale. Except, unlike that punk-ass Krampus and the wayfish Slenderman, this nightmare is 100% real. So follow all of the rules your parents give you, and be good little people of the world, because you may not feel safe after this one. In a quiet suburb of northeast Minneapolis, 13-year-old Jermaine came home from school. Along with his best friend Chad, the two were ending their school week with a Friday night sleepover. This was Chad's first time seeing Jermaine's house, and Jermaine really wanted to make a good first impression. Not only did he want his house to seem like a fun place to be, but he wanted Chad to think that he was the cool guy of his household. As the two walked in the door, Jermaine threw his book bag, kicked off his shoes, and wailed across his house. "Woo! Smells like shit in here! Are you cooking again, Mom?" "What was that, dear?" Jermaine's mother asked, coming out from the kitchen. Jermaine gave Chad a cheeky smile before reiterating what he said before. "I said your cooking smells like a dirty diaper that was left out in the sun too long," he replied, nudging Chad. "Oh, I get it. You've got a friend over, so you're going to be a little asshole to show off, is that it?" Jermaine's mother asked, shaking her head to herself. As the overly confident teen walked to the refrigerator to get him and his guest a popsicle, Jermaine's mom said one more thing. "You know, you may walk around this house acting like big shit, but your sweet tooth is gonna knock you down. The devil's coming, boy, and he's gonna teach you why you need to obey your mother." The two boys stopped and stared at the maniacal woman standing in the entryway. "Whatever, Mom," Jermaine said, as Chad stopped him. "No, wait. I've heard about this," Chad said. "You're talking about Hell General." Jermaine's mother squinted her eyes and slowly started nodding. "Jermaine, this is really bad," Chad said in fear. "When my cousin Tracy got caught drawing a unibrow on her cat, Hell General caught word, scared her ass straight." Jermaine began to grimace in puzzlement, confused at what his best friend and mom were creepily bonding over. "Could one of you provide more information on Hell General, perhaps in a flashback form?" he asked, hoping to clear up any confusion in the story. In an instant, lightning struck, and the scene went dark. Chad stepped into a thin beam of light before delivering his speech. "Hell General is what your nightmares have nightmares about. Imagine an itch you can't scratch, but replace that itch with non-stop blood-curdling screams. In the beginning times, before sliced bread or even the invention of fire, there were 5 horsemen of the apocalypse. You may be familiar with the main 4: death, famine, war, and conquest. But there was a much more evil horseman that was kicked out for being too evil. Ice cream. Ice cream challenged the core beliefs in which the horsemen operated. Instead of being dark and brooding like the rest of the bunch, ice cream was delicious and inviting. Nobody in their right mind wants death and famine, but they do want ice cream. For this reason alone, the other 4 horsemen conspired against ice cream to cast them out of the underworld forever. Since crossing over into our mortal plane, ice cream has wandered the earth in a black ice cream truck, not dishing out ice cream, but dishing out children's screams. Jermaine turned the lights back on in the kitchen, realizing that Chad had just turned them off after kicking a pan. "None of this is real, and I don't believe in Hell General," Jermaine yelled. "It's just a stupid story you tell to keep kids under control." After yelling, Jermaine immediately ran outside, leaving his mom and friend behind. He sat on the curb and watched the cars that passed by his home, processing more of what had just transpired. As he replayed the story of the 5th horseman in his head, he began to hear a cheerful tune. "Is that an ice cream truck?" Jermaine said to himself, frozen in fear. Every ounce of his being wanted to get up and run from where he was, but he didn't believe in Hell General. At least, he didn't want to. Not only that, but what if Chad and his mother were watching from the window? If he ran inside just before an ice cream truck passes, they will make fun of him for sure. The happy circus music of the ice cream truck grew louder. Slowly peeking over the nearest hill, Jermaine could finally confirm the truck's color. Black. "It's just a coincidence, right?" he said to himself as he slowly stood up to grab his wallet. With his fears stuffed deep into his stomach, Jermaine stood tall and prepared himself to buy an ice cream. The small black truck pulled up and stopped in front of the scared boy. The cheerful music stopped, leaving only the sound of Jermaine's knees knocking together. After a short time had passed, Jermaine reached his fist to knock on the window. But before his hand could make contact, the window of the truck flew open. The deafening sound of metal music exploded from the ice cream truck, sending the young boy back to protect his hearing.
I'm gonna eat your soul! Yeah! No ice cream for you, bitch!
The metalhead behind the window screamed as he shut the window, jumped in the driver's seat, and drove off. The cool 13-year-old with a love for putting his mother's cooking down sat in the grass of his front yard, not relaxing with ice cream in hand, but breathing heavily with piss in his pants. Since the year 2020, Minneapolis children and residents have been terrorized by a black ice cream truck that goes by the name Hell General. Unsuspecting victims would flock towards the cheerful carnival-style music, only to be greeted with decals of metal band logos on ice cream cones and blaring death metal. The Hell General was a project vehicle purchased by area man Matt Peterson back in the early 2010s. Instead of taking the rundown 1973 AM General postal truck and restoring it for its intended use of deliveries, Matt decided to use his vehicle for evil, converting it into a metal ice cream truck that only delivers disappointment. According to the Hell General's website, the backstory to how this idea formed is just as hardcore as the truck itself. On a hot summer day, 10-year-old Matt heard an ice cream truck coming down his block. He jumped out of his backyard wading pool and stopped the ice cream man right in front of his house. However, Matt had no money in his swimming trunks, so he asked the ice cream peddler to wait as he went into his home to get cash. I'll tell the rest of the story in his words. I found by the time I reached my front porch, he had already begun to leave. I screamed and wailed for him to stop, pounding hard on the windows on our porch. I pounded so hard, I eventually broke through the glass, cutting my wrists. Realizing what I had done, I stood there trembling as the ice cream man just kept driving away. I sat in my kitchen cleaning myself up, trying to keep my composure. I realized one thing at that moment. The ice cream man was one sick motherfucker. Matt's resentment and pain for the ice cream man manifested itself into the creation of Hell General, leading to this mission statement on his website. Rather than indulge brats with overpriced cream pops, I mean to deny those looking to buy a cold, tasty treat by playing my happy chimes through the streets. And when the children materialize in the streets, I'll coast right past them with the sinister look of rejection. Matt hosts request forms online for anyone wanting to disappoint their children, grandparents, or even someone celebrating a prison sentencing. His form also boasts a section for song requests, but be aware, he only plays metal music and ice cream jingles. So to all my parents out there, what do you think? Is Hell General what you've been looking for to teach your kid a lesson? I don't know how many Minneapolis listeners we have, but I'm sure you could fill out a request form, take a vacation, and meet Hell General at a designated place. As I stated in the beginning, this kind of behavior is only natural. Generation after generation has found ways to scare their children into staying in line. Could the Hell General be our next boogeyman? Maybe. But if you do take this route, just remember the cycle you're continuing into the future. Matt Peterson was denied ice cream just once, and it turned him into a monster who scares children for sport. So if you choose to indulge in this parental easy button, just know that a quieter kid in public now may grow up to be a serial petty criminal in the future.
Holy hell! This is wild!
Holy Hell General.
Yes! Oh my god! So that is really what he said caused this.
Yes, that's his legit story. He said that he beat on the windows until he broke through the glass and cut his wrist, which sounds so damn metal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Hey, I mean, it takes one to know one. I exaggerate things. Is he exaggerating? I don't know.
I couldn't help but let out a little chuckle when you said that part because it just sounds so damn extra.
So that's what it looks like. So it's basically an old USPS truck, and he just painted it all black and made it a tiny little ice cream truck. And I'm going to guess that the inside of it is just full of speakers that blares this metal music.
Wow. So did it ever say how old this guy was? Did you say that? I couldn't remember.
It didn't say, but I'm going to guess he's in his 30s. He could be in the early 40s, but he's not that old looking of a guy.
Yeah. You know, as a parent, mixed emotions for sure. I think that this makes for a great story, and I think that it's innovative and all that. But would I want my child terrorized by this man? No, I would not. There's a line. There's a line, and I don't think I would be hiring him for my kids. Let's just say that.
Okay. He does have order forms where you can do all the requests you want, location, time. Apparently, that is something that he does for grandparents as well. I don't know why. Grandparents' Day is coming up, everybody, in a week or two. So, Also, I thought it was kind of funny. I looked at his order form to get him. And he said, I'm doing all the main suburbs of Minneapolis. He said, this place, this place, this place. And at the very end, he said, but not St. Paul. Fuck St. Paul. That's what he says on it. So I don't know what
Do people pay him? Or he's just doing this because he loves it?
I think he just does it because he loves it. I wasn't seeing a thing. I think you can donate. And he has merch.
Oh, okay.
He has a little horn, like black symbol. That's the Hell General symbol. And you can buy it on hoodies and stuff.
I do have to respect the branding and
the attention to detail, because
Yeah.
the symbols on the side of the ice cream truck are a bunch of ice cream cones and treat pictures, but each picture is a parody of a metal symbol, like bands, like heavy metal bands, and they're on like ice cream cones, and some of the ice cream have horns and stuff, and it's all very metaled up the way it looks.
It's very creative. I have to give him that.
But still to this day, there are people with TikTok accounts and there are Facebook posts and stuff, and people are like, there was a black ice cream truck that didn't get my kids ice cream. Like, what's going on in this part of the town? And some people don't even believe that it exists, and people don't know the name of it. And I'm just like, yeah, Hill General, baby.
Damn.
There's TikTok videos of people like seeing him out and about. And
How
stuff.
did you find this story? Was it on TikTok or was it?
AMP Project had did a thing about him.
Okay.
They did a thing on him, and I thought, that's petty as shit. And he didn't get in trouble or anything. So I thought, that's a great one to do for a petty non-crime story.
Yeah. That one was really, really good. I really love that one, Trevin.
Thank you.
I'm already starting to look into the future. I don't know about connections. You might have to help me out with this one.
Okay.
But wow, that one, I don't know. I love the mystery. I love the lore behind it. I love how it was kids whispering about it and the mothers, using it as a thing. And when you were telling it, in my mind, I was like, there's no way that this is real. I thought this was your creative way of playing up the story. And it turns out that there actually is an all blacked out ice cream truck that does this. So
yeah, I don't know if he actually said, I'm going to eat your soul, bitch, or anything like that. I imagine he just keeps driving or maybe stops and then goes and plays metal music. But a lot of my characters, when I write them, are based off of people I know or things I've encountered. And that one really made me think of my mom, because I remembered anytime I would have a friend over and I would like try to crack a little joke or something, she'd be like, oh, you think you're cute? You're just going to walk around here showing off your ass like that because you have a friend over? That's like the frustrating thing she would always do, because I would just be like chipper and have a friend over, and she's like, oh, this is how you're going to be? So I kind of exaggerated what I expected. I mean, obviously, I never came in and told her food smelled like a dirty diaper in the sun, but my mom's a great cook.
When you said that line, it was so relatable. So funny.
Because some kids love to put the mom down to look cool in front of the friends.
Yep,
You're going to be seeing that soon.
I could see myself being like, listen, shoot, I've even done it to Jordan before. I've been like, just because you have friends over, Jordan, doesn't mean, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a very relatable thing, I think.
Oh, God, that was very relatable. I needed that. Well, great job.
Thank you.
And I also have a story.
I'm ready for it. I love that we do 2 stories.
I know at one point I was kind of wondering, like, is that okay that we're going to keep doing 2 stories every week? Honestly, it has been. And obviously that's why we've kept it this way.
Yeah, I don't know how shows like our friend at World's Dumbest Criminals, she can do 10 in an episode. Of course, she doesn't do them like we do.
Right.
But I feel like for longevity reasons, we can do that. But it's a lot more research on her end.
Yeah, that's true. So I do have a news story, and this was sent in to me by Trevin.
Oh, a listener and creator, huh?
Yes. So honestly, I'm not really sure how you stumbled across this story. Maybe we could discuss after. But let me just say this. It took me a minute to figure out how I wanted to write this story and what angle I wanted to go for. I guess that's kind of common. Anytime I get a listener story or anything like that, it's kind of that same way. But it's especially true when you send me something, because I'm like, what does he think I'm going to do with it? You sent me that other one, the My Pussy's on Fire lady.
Yep.
And I was trying to catch you off guard. So it takes me a minute when you do this to me, okay?
Yeah, I like that we're doing this build up together. I can see why you would look at it as sort of a challenge, like throwing the gauntlet down. I'm like, write that.
I know. So it really did take me a minute to kind of figure out what angle I wanted to do. So I hope I do it justice, everyone.
I do think one day, just to throw this out there, I don't know if we should do it on like April Fools or something, but you know how on SNL, Michael Che and, oh my God, Colin Jost?
Yeah. They roast each other?
Well, they write each other's jokes?
Yes!
I think one week we should write each other's stories.
That would be good. Ooh, I like that idea.
So we'll have to plan that sometime.
Keep that in your mind. This story, like you said earlier, is coming out, around the time of Grandparents' Day. So it was just a fitting time to tell it. Also, it left a lot of room for interpretation because there were minimal details about the individuals involved, which is pretty common. So without further stalling, here we go. The thing about grandmas is that they can be dynamic characters. Maybe yours is a super fun lady who loves to laugh and look through old photo albums. But the minute you beat her in Uno,
Draw 4, Granny.
she disowns you from the family.
You bastard!
Perhaps yours is the sweetest grandmother around, baking delicious treats for every family event. But if she finds out that you and your partner lived together before marriage, your lips won't even touch a crumb of her powdered brownies.
No sweets for sinners.
I'm sure not every family matriarch with this title is so extreme, in that some genuinely mind their own business, respect boundaries, and stay out of trouble. But today's petty crime will not involve one of these innocent grannies. Quite the opposite. Today's story is about how one grandma smuggled herself into a crime that she couldn't wiggle out of. Grandma Barb was a decent 73-year-old lady living in Spain in 2013. She was known for her loyalty towards her family, having a quick wit, and for her creative Jell-O salads. As we all do, Barb also had her flaws. She was a very impulsive person who couldn't hear worth a shit.
What was that?
Regardless, she was someone her family could count on. Becoming a grandmother had affected Barb. She knew that she wasn't the best mother, but she wanted to try and make up for things for her grandkids. So when her son Johnny ended up incarcerated, she was determined to provide whatever was needed to support him and his kids. It wasn't long after, on a beautiful morning in July, that Barb's loyalty was put to the test. Her cell rang as she received a phone call from an unknown number from southern Spain.
Hello?
Barb asked cautiously into her phone. This call is coming from inside the Fonculent prison from a detainee named
Johnny.
Will you accept the charges?
Yes!
Barb exclaimed at the operator. With a quick patch through, Barb heard the familiar voice of her son on the other end of the line.
Mom, I'm miserable in here.
Johnny huffed into the jail phone.
Speak up, Johnny. I'm planning to visit you this weekend. Is there anything I should bring?
Unfortunately for both of them, Barb's hearing was at an all-time low that day, as she had forgotten the hearing aids on her bedside table. And Johnny's attitude was also at an all-time low, causing him to mumble into the phone. Johnny told her that he wished he had a razor to shave his face, but instead, Barb heard,
I need a favor when you get to the place.
Confused, Barb proceeded with caution.
Okay, Johnny, and what's that?
Johnny was annoyed by the silly question and explained to his mother that a razor is a tool that can glide over a tuft of hair, making it appear smoother and clean. But instead, she heard,
I need a favor. Can you fool the man and hide drugs here, up in your baby machine?
Barb knew better than to repeat the favor in question on a possibly recorded and monitored line. So she casually laughed and simply asked,
How?
Johnny pulled the jail phone away from his face in frustration, saying, For goodness sakes! But the answer Barb heard was Johnny say,
A Kinder Egg!
Barb quickly agreed before she hung up the call and got to work. She had no idea why her son would be asking her to do such a horrible thing. Maybe Johnny had made enemies on the inside. No matter the reason, she wanted to be helpful. Barb slapped on her nylons, put a visor on her head to shield her face, and was off to find the local drug dealer. It wasn't long before she spotted One Nut Tony hustling on the corner of Main Street and approached him in her car.
Listen here, One Note Tony!
Barb greeted the dealer with a threatening tone.
This is a one-time investment for my son, so don't get it twisted, Buster.
The drug deal commenced as Tony passed Barb drugs through her driver's side window, and Barb passed Tony the cash. She peeled off, gripping her steering wheel tightly, stating,
Next stop, Target.
When the weekend approached, Barb had finished gathering her smuggling materials, including the smuggling vessel itself, a Kinder Egg. She had purchased many of these chocolate egg treats contained in a plastic casing for her grandson. He loved how they always came with not only a chocolate egg, but also a small toy inside. It was ironic that now she snatched up a Kinder Egg, only to smuggle drugs up her snatch. Barb ate the chocolate egg, saved the toy for her grandson, and filled the plastic casing back up with paraphernalia. She popped the egg up inside her criminal coochie and was off to visit her son in prison. Up until Barb arrived at the cold and depressing prison, she had been confident in her plan of action. But once she stepped inside, she immediately second-guessed it all.
Put all personal belongings in the tub, step through the metal detectors, and you will all be frisked for harmful items.
A prison guard announced matter-of-factly towards the visitor center. Barb gulped as she suddenly felt like a mother hen who couldn't wait to hatch her first egg. As the line of visitors slowly moved forward, Barb's panic only intensified. With each heavy step, she wondered if the illegal egg would expose itself by falling from its hiding spot. Or if a guard would find the egg using who knows what kind of equipment to extract it. Breaking out in a full sweat, it was Barb's turn to be frisked. But before security could give Barb her first instructions, she popped out the Kinder Egg from her lady bits and started confessing.
I'm so sorry.
On July 1st of 2013, an unnamed 73-year-old Spanish woman visited her son at Fontcalent prison in Alicante, Spain. However, this was no ordinary visitation. As soon as the woman realized she would be frisked before entry, she voluntarily removed an illicit package from her vagina. The package turned out to be a Kinder Egg, a popular chocolate treat for kids, paired with a small toy and wrapped up in a plastic egg-shaped container. Inside of the egg was 20 euros plus small amounts of cocaine, heroin, and tranquilizers. The woman ended up pleading guilty in court, and she was sentenced to 21 months in prison and fined 41 euros. However, the court later suspended the jail time due to the woman's advanced age and previously clean record. There was no statement given on what her son was incarcerated for, or what really caused her to smuggle in the illegal egg. Grandmas really can be the best, whether they share their secret recipes or smuggle drugs into prison for you. Give your grandma a big hug today, because you never know when you may need a freaky favor in the future.
Criminal coochie.
Oh, I had to pause so many times during the story. Oh my God, and just kind of cringe.
I like the freaky favor at the end too.
So, obviously, that whole phone call, the whole notion that she did this all on a misunderstanding was completely fabricated. Obviously, as I think we all know, she clearly did this intentionally to bring, I guess, to her son. I'm assuming he told her to bring it in, especially because she has a completely clean record in all of her, how old did I say she was?
70 something, right?
Yeah, in all of those years, she has a clean record. So I think it definitely had to do with her son convincing her, maybe. But what a story to send me, Trevin.
Yeah, anytime female anatomy comes up in a story, I say, that shouldn't come out of my mouth, probably. Also, I thought maybe you would have a better idea or something to do with it than what I was thinking. Because a lot of times when somebody does something ridiculous, one of my favorite things to do with building a character is just act like that's what they like to do all the time. So had I done this story, it would have been something like, Barb always had a fascination with shoving things inside of herself. And I just didn't want to go through having a bunch of examples of that and then getting canceled or something. So I said, let's just let you do it and people will understand your side of it better. And you had a much better idea.
Well, thank you. I really wasn't sure. This is one that really stumped me because, like I was kind of telling you as I was telling it, I just kept trying to be like, what got us here? What brought this woman with a previously clean record to do such a thing?
Mm-hmm.
All the news articles and headlines kept saying grandmother this, grandmother that, when in reality, she really was doing it for her son, and she just was an older woman, and I think that was easier for the headlines to say grandmother did this instead of saying old woman does this for her son.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. She was technically a grandmother, but I kind of liked that angle too, where like, hey, you just never know. You might have to call your granny up one day.
You really might. I'm going to guess that the son probably didn't get in trouble because it probably came off like, oh, I did it on my own volition.
Yeah,
But
it didn't say.
I wonder if they investigated to see if they could prove that he asked for it to get him in more trouble too.
God, I don't know, but they were so private. I mean, Barb is a made-up name, you
Oh,
know.
yeah, that's
it's
right.
an unnamed woman. They didn't say anything about her son's sentence, his name, nobody's names, just her age and where it actually happened. But I really don't know. I was having a really hard time getting from point A to point B, with point B being a Kinder Egg shoved up your cooch with all this paraphernalia in it, okay? So I really had to play up the whole, like, being a grandma, she really wanted to be there for them, like she wasn't in the past, and I don't
liked
know.
it. It was a good crime. When I saw it, I was like, this can't not be on our show.
Yeah.
It has to be there. So it's like, how does it go, though? You know?
I know.
And so I did put you on it, but yeah.
I hope I handled it to your liking because, that was a toughie. That was a toughie. Just to present it, you know? Like, how am I going to do that?
I like the misunderstanding angle. I don't know if we've really done many misunderstandings in that kind of a way. And that's just funny to kind of make that work.
Yeah. I couldn't put this on her. She's too innocent and pure.
She is, and gosh, what a selfless thing, you know? I mean, I'm going to assume he'd asked her to do it and she just gave in and did it, especially with not having the record behind it.
Right. That's what it seems to be.
But how kind.
Also, a lot of the articles that I read said at the very bottom, they would talk about other crimes sometimes. And apparently this whole Kinder Egg thing is a common smuggling thing that people use just because it is a little tiny egg. So I guess, pop it right up there and call it a day.
Yikes. Doesn't it just suck when you invent something and it gets used for the wrong purpose?
I know. Lila loves Kinder Eggs. I buy her Kinder Eggs all the time. Now, they're a little bit different in different countries. Like sometimes it is the actual chocolate egg with a toy in it. But here in the US, it's still an egg on the outside. But when you open it, it's two halves of the egg. And there's like a chocolate treat on one side and a toy that you build on the other.
Okay, I remember seeing these things in stores. I've never had one.
Oh, okay.
I remember the Nestle Wonder Ball. Is that what that's called?
Oh, yeah.
Where they teamed up with Disney and they had the Disney toys inside. Yeah, that's what I had. Because the ball was all chocolate and then inside it was either a Disney toy or like a hard candy shaped like Woody or something.
Yeah, and things like that, because there were so many choking incidents with toys being inside the candy. That's why the U.S. switched it. But I think a lot of countries still have it, the actual chocolate egg with the toy. I don't know, guys. Let me know what it's like there.
I'm going to have to try one. I should have brought that for the episode.
I should
We haven't done an interactive thing like that in a long time.
I should have, because they're so fun, honestly. I love them. You get to build a tiny little toy. It comes in little tiny parts. Yeah, I love it.
Whew.
But anyway, what a time.
Connections? Did you have one? Because I've got a...
No.
Okay, I was thinking how to and how not to be a parent. Or how to be a mother, mainly. Because my parent, you know, in my story, we're going to assume that she called the hell general on the boy.
Yeah.
And yours was a very good mother. That's what every mother should do.
kid. Oh, that's a really good connection. Yeah, it's like the different types of parenting styles.
Yeah, I think we've done something with parenting before, but it's funny to see that we both kind of have opposite sides of the coin here.
Exactly. She's like, I'm going to scare the shit out of this kid. And my lady's like, Kinder Egg up the crotch? Cool, I'll do it for you.
For my son, who's already obviously probably a bad boy who's in jail.
Exactly. And it's not like he's like, hey, can you smuggle in a Kinder Egg just filled with jelly beans? It's like hard drugs.
Or just a regular Kinder Egg. You need some chocolate.
Oh, man. Well, I hope everyone is having a fabulous week. And just remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to use rentahitman.com at some point.
Oh, my God. Bye.
See ya.
Make sure you go and hug your grandmother today. And also tell her about our podcast.
And if you know of any updates to any of our previous crimes, find us on social media and tell us about it. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Threads. Live, Laugh, Larceny.
And if you have ever smuggled anything up your criminal coochie, send us your petty crime story. liveLaughLarceny@gmail.com.
And give us a review as good as a dentist would review the sheephead-fish's teeth. They look great, pearly white. 5 stars across the board. Apple, Spotify, or Good Pods.
It was ironic that now she snatched up a Kinder Egg, only to smuggle drugs up her snatch. Oh, goddamn.
I can tell you use that word a lot. Not.